Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the second of our... Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the second of our second Sunday presentations. I'm Michael Makin, the new chair of the Contemporary Issues Committee, taking over from longtime chair and founder Sarah Holmes. What an act to follow. So I'm doing my best. By the way, as the chair of the Contemporary Issues Committee, let me tell you that we welcome all suggestions for presentations in the next programming year, especially if they're accompanied by the nomination of a speaker. So do get in touch with me if you have topics that you would like covered and you have someone in mind who could cover them, and we will be very glad to accept those nominations. By the way, our next presentation is on the 11th of January and is about the situation of the homeless in Washtenaw County. So I think that will be another important presentation. Today, I woke up and thought how very apposite that the Michigan weather, southern Michigan weather, become on our schedule, because of course today's presentation is about our festive music, and it comes from our own and our new music director. It's become a tradition in this lecture series that we have the music director introduce the festive music program, and I'm sure that any musician will say all music is contemporary. If it were a Gregorian chant from 1500 years ago, I'm sure musicians would say that's contemporary, but of course we have generally had things that do have contemporary echoes, and today is no exception. So it's my great pleasure to introduce today our new music director, Dr. Rebecca Lord, who will be talking about our festive presentation of John Rutter's Magnificat. We heard Rutter's arrangement of All Things Bright and Beautiful this morning, of course. Rebecca brings a rich and varied background as a conductor, soprano, violinist, dancer, and actress to her work with choirs and orchestras. Her musical journey began at age two, when her mother placed a violin in her hands. Rebecca's early studies included 6 years of pre-collegiate music studies at the Eastman School of Music. She later earned a bachelor's degree in vocal performance from Georgia State University, where she also began a career in church music. After moving to New York City, she performed as a soprano soloist with the Trinity Wall Street and Bach Vespers choirs, and earned a certificate in acting from the Circle in the Square Theatre School. Her 15-year career as an actress included 2 years in residence with the Tony Award-winning Children's Theatre Company in Minneapolis. As a violinist, she has performed with symphony orchestras, opera, ballet, and theatre companies. In addition to her performance career, she's taught at 2 universities, taught in public and private schools, preschool through high school, and engaged with thousands of K-12 students through outreach programs. She's published articles in journals of the American Choral Directors Association and the National Collegiate Choral Organization. Her path to a focused career in conducting was inspired by her musical experiences in Atlanta and New York and a desire to follow in the footsteps of her grandfather, who was also a conductor. She earned her Master of Music and Doctor of Musical Arts degrees in conducting from UCLA, studying under Donald Noyen. At UCLA, she was named the Outstanding Graduate Student in Music. After her graduation, she served as UCLA's Associate Director of Choral Activities and Director of Choral Outreach. She later joined the choral faculty at Brigham Young University, Idaho. She's also worked as a chorus master and an assistant orchestra conductor for Arizona Music Fest and assistant conductor for the internationally televised Hour of Power Choir. She has appeared as a guest conductor and clinician across the nation, including in prestigious venues such as New York's Carnegie Hall and in 2024 with the Memphis Symphony Orchestra and Chorus in performances of Haydn's oratorio, The Creation. In recent months, she has conducted the Berlin Sinfonietta in Germany and served as assistant concertmaster of the Classical Music Festival in Eisenstadt, Austria. She also serves as assistant conductor of Spectrum Orchestra in Bloomfield Hills. She describes herself as a devoted mother and a passionate advocate for the transformative power of music in worship, family, and community life. A devoted Christian, she credits every gift and opportunity in her life to her Creator and has committed her life to his service. What a great privilege it is to introduce our new music director, Dr. Rebecca Lord, and her presentation. Thank you so much.
I love having the opportunity to talk about the great music that we do. As a conductor, one of my privileges is doing research about the music we do and understanding what the composer was trying to say. And very rarely do I get the chance to go into depth in sharing what I have found with a group of people who are going to listen to it. So this is a real treat. All right, let's go to the next slide. This is John Rutter, our composer. He is one of the most beloved and widely performed composers of our time today. He was born in London in 1945, grew up surrounded by music. He sang in his school choir, discovered early on that he had a passion for writing for the voice, the human voice. He studied at Clare College, Cambridge, and he later became their director of music, where he started writing for their ensembles and recording and gained international recognition doing that. Much of his music is written for churches and for community groups. It's meant to be sung and enjoyed for the masses. He has a number of famous choral works, including the Magnificat, which we're performing, also the Gloria, Requiem, and Mass of the Children. And you heard his All Things Bright and Beautiful this morning during the service. I thought it'd be nice to hear from Rutter himself, just for a couple of minutes, about what his thought process was approaching this work. So we'll go to the next slide and just watch the beginning of this. Mexican influences. And the reason he did this is because he explained he was thinking about the Magnificat text and where has Mary been traditionally celebrated with great enthusiasm in our world, and it's in Catholic countries, where Mary's a huge big deal. And so he thought, let's go to the sunny Catholic countries and not only draw from that sense of fiesta, but some of their traditional forms of music and dance. So that's what we're going to hear. Let's take a listen. We have a dance form that we're going to hear next in this movement, this opening movement, called the huapango, which is a traditional Mexican folk dance. And what it's known for is a cross between a 6/8 and a 3/4 rhythm. So we're all going to say this together. We're going to say 2 and 3. And here we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 3 and. So there's a little feeling of playful tension within the music. We're going to watch a little video. Next slide. All right, so a lot is packed into this first movement. Then he goes to a feeling of Gregorian chant. And Rudder said, I can never resist Gregorian chant whenever I'm setting a liturgical text. It is for me the music of the Christian church. So there is a chant that's up here. It's hard to see, but the melody is ba 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 ba, and that is from the Magnificat, a Magnificat Gregorian chant. And so here he sets it very subtly in the trombones. Trombones historically, starting in Renaissance and Baroque time, were used for sacred music. Beethoven did this a lot, where they would bring that into even their symphonies, that specific voice, when they wanted to bring in a sense of solemnity or of worship. So let's listen to our clip number. The next thing we hear in this movement is a introspective moment for Mary. And the text, it's in Latin, but here's the English translation. For he has looked with favor upon the humility of his handmaiden. Behold, from henceforth forever, all generations will call me blessed. So he writes this with an almost a cappella. It's got a very sparse, just chords in the orchestra, so you're mostly hearing it sounds chant-like. And then we return to the end. We bookend this with more Latino celebratory feel. So we're setting up all of the elements that we're going to be hearing throughout this work are in this thing. We have the fanfare, We have the Latino feel, we have the Gregorian chant, the focus on Mary, and then again our fiesta, and you'll see all these things come back. Let's hear, did we hear clip 4? No, okay, this is the second movement is where we have text from an anonymous 15th century monk, which is a very beautiful text, and it has this refrain that's repeated several times out, and then there are little verses, storytelling verses. I thought we could just listen to the refrain. Now, this movement is something that Rudder had set this text earlier in his life. In the 1970s, he wrote this, and he said this is a very common thing for composers to do, to take something they've written and insert it into something else. People who publish often do the same things, articles in academia, lift this and lift that. So one that I really enjoy of this tradition is in Handel's Messiah. You may be familiar with, for unto us a child is born. That was originally a duet between a soprano and a tenor. No, I shall never love again. So there's that. This one at least is like appropriate for the theme. Let's just listen to the next clip, which will be just the said growing up, he was in a church where they had a lot of roses. They were Tudor roses, but there is an image of Mary being a rose and giving birth to the flower, the rose of all time. So he really likes that imagery because he had it in his growing up church. Let us go to the next slide, which is the third movement, Quia Fecit. And this is talking about the power of God. The mighty one has done great things for me, and holy is his name. He has another Gregorian chant melody in here that he puts in trumpets and trombones, a little stronger this time. And he says in writing with Gregorian chant feel, one thing that he likes to accomplish with that is giving the composition a sense of timelessness, that we are all connected throughout the ages, that this is a story for all of us. So he's playing with the ideas of contemporary dance forms and music, of how we celebrate and how people worshipped back then, and really trying to bring together all times and all places in his writing here. There are two parts in this. The first half focuses on the greatness of God. The second half is holiness. And he decides to set this with a peaceful chant melody. Other composers have said it in different ways. Bach has said it very magnificently. Fauré has a floaty angelic quality in his writing. Verdi wrote this holy, holy with a fast-moving fugue, as if try keeping up with God kind of thing. He's just that great. So Rudder goes for the Gregorian chant feel. Let's hear clip 6. we meet our soloist. Now, this work was written only for one soloist, a female. We have wonderful soloists here, so I'm splitting it up among some of our soloists. So we will hear, some of this will be sung by Caitlin, our soprano, and we'll have male voices as well. And it's not a gender-specific solo. It's not being the voice of Mary, it's illustrating the story, so it works well. Misericordia refers to loving kindness or mercy. And so this is a beautiful, happy moment. Rudder draws from the world the soundscape of musical theater for the two big solo movements, which is kind of fun. It's very accessible and brings a new color in. Partway through this, we have the chorus takes over the soloist melody, and then the soloist goes back to the very beginning Magnificat melody and floats that over the top, but it's not with the fanfare or the robustness, it's with a more peaceful, angelic quality, and Rudder was trying to communicate through that Mary was maturely prepared for this, and she's feeling calm and at ease about what is to come. Let's listen to clip number 8. Potentiam, he has shown strength with his arm, and he has scattered the proud in the imagination of their heart. So he's going in this for that image of scattering the proud, and he does it through sharp, biting, jazzy rhythms. And he utilizes what we call a fugue. Can you go to the next slide? We'll talk about what a fugue is. So a fugue, if you can imagine around like row, row, row your boat, but on a grand scale. So it's not an exact repetition, but it's similar in that you start with one and then different voices enter with what we call the fugue subject. And then they will take little bits and pieces of it, and they'll twist it, and they'll manipulate it in really interesting ways. Composers really can do marvelous things with fugues. So in this, we have a fugue as he is creating this image of scattering the proud. Now we had, for those of you who came to the concert and heard parts of Haydn's creation, we had some fugal material in that, and the text was despairing, cursing, rage. It was the image of Satan's followers fleeing as God's about to create the earth, and they're gnashing their teeth. And so when he set his fugue, he was doing it in a very disjointed way. He had irregular entrances, he had short pieces, long pieces, things that were just not working in a normal fugue way. Let's see what happens here with Rudder's fugue and how he's trying to see. But we have this rhythm, fecit potentiam in brachio suo. That is our fugue subject. And then we have tenors, so the basses start with that. Tenors will come in with the fecit potentiam in brachio suo. It's the same thing. Then altos come in fecit potentiam in brachio suo. They do the same thing as well, but while those fugue entrances are coming in, we have tenors continue, fecit potentiam in brachio suo, then they continue on brachio in brachio suo. So they start juxtapositioning different elements of that rhythm, and it gets really poppy. What's going on? It's awesome. So let's listen to that little part of the fugue, clip 9. to the next movement, Esurientes. This is back to our soloist, and the idea comes back of God's providence. He takes care of us. He fills us with good things. He's a merciful, caring God. This, again, goes back to the world of musical theater. We have now what we call a 12/8 meter. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and it just kind of bubbles along, and we have this floating line over the top of that, and the choir gently in the background. Let's listen to beginning of clip 10. The number of 7 in Scripture. So we have 7 movements where rudder's tying into that biblical number as well. We end with the Gloria Patri, and this is a reprise time. So the first movement has a lot of all of the elements, and then the last movement we're going to bring back elements. Now, a very fun part of the last movement is that the text of the doxology contains sicut erat in principio, which means as it was in the beginning. That is just open forum for composers. Bach in his Magnificat brought back his beginning music and set that text to it, and Rudder, that's one way in which he is mirroring what Bach did in his Magnificat. He does the same thing. So we have a structure that contains 4 parts here. The first is the fanfare, and the fanfare is almost identical to the one that starts, not the first movement, but the third movement, Fecit Potentiam. Let's listen to that fanfare. We have the soloist coming back, as she did in the first movement, with one final prayer or chant-like moments. And so she sings, Sancta Maria, succurre miseris, iuva pusillamines, something like that. So she sings for a while. And then we go to sicut erat, that text of as it was in the beginning. And that returns us to the Huapango dance form that we had at the very beginning, which is very fun. And then we have a very tail ending, which is a joyous Amen chorus. So let's listen to clip 11, which So, Rutter's Magnificat feels to me like the perfect musical celebration for a little earlier on in Advent, because we, like Mary, are joyfully waiting the coming of Jesus Christ. I love that Rutter doesn't only capture Mary's voice in her beautiful words, but he also celebrates the joy of music itself by turning to music and dance forms from other places, blending the old and the new, bringing in the serenity of the Gregorian chant, the sparkle of musical theater, and the vibrant rhythms of Latin dance forms. The result is something both sacred and full of joyful life, a true fiesta of faith and of joy. And it reminds us that the story of this season deserves to be celebrated in every style and every culture with the brightest, most colorful, and heartfelt joy we can bring. And I look forward to bringing this to you in life in a few weeks.
Thank you, Rebecca, for such a splendid talk. I'm sure we're all looking forward very much to hearing this performance of John Rutter, even if he is a Cambridge man. And it seems that I was right in saying this would be contemporary and that Gregorian chant, too, would be contemporary.
Yep.
So I'd like to open the floor for, if Rebecca would accept questions, for a few questions. Raise your hand, and I'll bring you the handheld mic so you can ask your question in a manner that will be broadcast to our live stream and recorded.
No pressure, right?
No pressure, right?
Be movie stars.
Barbara, you have to open the backing for us,
no.
surely. Come on. This is Barbara Everett, who's actually responsible for Rebecca giving this talk.
Yes, but she's covered things so well. There's not much to say. So I'm curious about will there be any additional members of the choir for this, or will we go with?
Yeah, I'll talk about the forces. So we will have a few more choir members joining us than we had today. One of them is Sylvia, who's sitting right here. Yay! She's coming back, and we had a few extra people here for our concert last Sunday. They will join us as well, most of them, and I'll invite a couple more. The instrumental forces, this is written for a full orchestra, which is what we heard here. There's also a chamber orchestra version, which has reduced winds brass percussion. So we'll have flute, one of each, one flute, oboe, clarinet, bassoon, one horn, harp, and percussion, along with strings. But we could not fit the full orchestra. We'll squeeze those in, and we'll have fewer strings this time.
It sounds lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Another question? Yes. Darcy, will you be performing in this? Excellent. Darcy, you're an all-rounder, as we say in cricket.
Where did this first premiere, like in what countries, and how has it been, I guess, used outside of church performances? Like, is this something that's done by repertoires of other orchestras or
Yes,
larger
this
choral
is
works?
actually a commonly done concert piece. I don't know the information on the premiere. I can look it up and tell you later. Yeah, no, this is done both in big church services, but I think it's more commonly done in concert settings, and it's a great festive holiday piece. And I know with my collegiate choirs, I've performed Rudder as well, so.
I looked at the Wikipedia article this morning.
Oh, do you know?
Of course, and I think it was premiered in New York.
Oh, that's right, he wrote it for them, yeah,
Because he said he
mentioned
wrote
that.
it for performance in
at
Carnegie Hall.
Oh, I just watched that. I feel smart now.
Another question? Yes, Pam.
Could you do the count again? Does it go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, or 1
1
and 2
and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3. I thought about having you all stand up and dance and learn some Wapango steps.
Pam?
Good. That's a good way to count sheep.
Jamie.
I was just curious what language it's going to be performed in.
Latin and English.
I don't have a question, but I just want to thank you again for last Sunday afternoon's concert.
Oh, thank
that was
you.
absolutely thrilling.
We had a great
thank
time
you.
putting it together.
Thank you.
Yay.
Do we have any other questions? Oh, Gail, sorry.
Thank you so much. I'm interested in John Rutter because, I mean, just so many pieces of music. I presume he's still composing.
Yeah, he's very old, but he's
Yeah. Well, not that old.
Rebecca, I would ask you to be very careful with that term.
Yes, I should. Let's see.
In this,
Born in 1945. So what is that? Who's good at math here? 80. He's 80.
he's a
Is
spring
that
chicken.
very old or not very old?
Not very old.
For writing a major work of music with chorus and orchestra, that takes a lot of energy.
We should move on, I think.
All right. I'm digging myself in deeper here.
Are there any other questions? Does our organist really not have a question to ask?
Actually, I can't believe I don't have a question to ask. Always talking. But very nice work, Rebecca. So what
Thanks,
a pleasure. I'm looking forward to the concert. I guess a couple things that are very minor came to mind. The Magnificat, I was late to your start, but you know that's traditionally sung at every evensong, which I'm assuming you brought up. One little thing about Mary, having grown up Catholic with a Polish Catholic mother, we had Marys everywhere, garden, you know, in the bedroom, on the altar, you know, who knows what. But Mary had a lot of titles. There's hymns that Star of the Sea,
Yep.
Gate of Heaven, and Rosa Mystica is one of them, and you brought that up.
Yep.
And secondly, the Oaxacan dance, the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, goes to Oaxaca, Mexico. That church behind those dancers was the Cathedral of Oaxaca, which also happens to have a very fine pipe organ in it.
Oh, very nice.
But, well, there you go.
Very good. Thank you, Tim.
Oh, thank you so much, Tim. Have you played that organ?
Yes.
Oh,
wow.
wonderful.
Oh, Tim.
Have you danced while playing the organ?
How did I guess? Thank you so much. Any other comments or questions? Well, Rebecca, thank you so much. We're all looking
you.
forward very much to this, and a splendid presentation. Thank you.